good afternoon. It's Dirk de Klein here from Wired FM for the show Wired In. I'm talking to Dar van Horn today about his new book. The book is called Jokester. And I read some of it. It's fascinating. It spans a couple of centuries, but we're going to give Dara a opportunity to talk about it in a great length. So Dara, if you just can kind of quickly introduce yourself and just a quick overview on who you are.
Right. Well, I'm an American and currently residing in the wonderful, on the island of England. And author and love reading, love history. Actually, I'm a history freak, as they call it. So that's
I mean, that's a bit of a history freak myself. I should probably know about this. So let's just talk about your book, Jokester. It's set in Wales. It spans a few centuries. It starts off in the early 20th century and then goes in. Yeah, it goes into the time of Edward Longshanks. The bits I read. So yeah, if you just want to give a quick overview of the book and what it is, what made you write it in the first place.
Right. Well, actually, I to be honest, this is the first time venturing in this genre, this area of type of storytelling style, and but what prompted it, what brought the idea to my mind to do it, was that we go to Wales every year. On a holiday, we just love going to Wales. We love Wales. And so during one of our visits to Aberystwyth, the port town there.
Yeah.
We were seeing the the local Coliseum Theater Museum. And we were looking around. They got different sections representing different time periods in Wales and Aberystwyth. And we went into this one area, one section that was for toys and so forth. And we was looking around. I looked up and I saw this 1920s Muppet. It was a jokester or jester, actually. And he was looking down at me like this, and it was a big old grin. And
making fun of me.
I just kind of looked up at him, and there it was. It was like epiphany. It was like a vision, if you will. And the whole story just came out, right there in front of me. And I knew the history of the theater. I knew the history of Aberystwyth. I knew the history of the castle in Aberystwyth, which is literally right there. I mean, you walk out towards the shoreline there, or the port. Look up to your left, and there it is. And so I knew, we've been going there for years, so I knew the whole place. So everything just came together, and the story just kind of laid out in front of me from that point. And
so the book is a combination of fantasy and also factual events.
It's a faction, yes. It's a faction tale, right? And or factional. And so yeah, initially it starts off in 1922, I think it was, and then it sort of breaks off from there, and then yes, it goes into 1295. Of course, everything's related, everything's linked. There's no part of it that kind of veers off this way or that way. It flows. I've tried to keep it as flowing as possible and relevant. So then at the end, it spins back around, comes back to So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and so and the jokester in the character in the book. What is it? What is it what he does?
Well, of course, we all know about court gestures, and we all know about the stories like the Joker, the Batman stories, and we all know about, which is a villain guy, and of course in my book he's also the main villain, but in a different way. For me, he is the manifestation of an underlying evil. It's not just a criminal mind wanting to wanting to profit, that seeks or is inspired by material gain or anything like that, like your typical classic villain figure, with association to the Joker. With mine is, in my view, my character, my villain, he actually represents, like I said, an underlying evil that is basically, he's a manifestation of an underlying evil that's perpetual, that's never ending. It's been going on for centuries, which is, in my story, its focus is on the disregarding of the rights or the dignity of women, basically. It's
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tragic, of course, as you know, it's a tragic story that has been prevalent for centuries. If you look at throughout history, you'll find that women have always been victimized, have always been their interests, their rights, their whatever, has always been undermined. So what I've done is, in this story, like I said, I've made reference to different points of historical periods where I mentioned these incidents in history.
Yeah.
It ties it in with this character, and then it goes to the end. I don't know. You haven't had a chance to read the entire thing.
Not. I've read a couple of chapters of it. I was also reading another book you sent. We might have brief on that. We might touch that briefly, but because the focus is at the moment is your current work. I was trying to share the cover there, but for some reason, as I said before, Zoom sometimes works in mysterious ways and it won't let me. For some bizarre reason, it kicks me into Microsoft Teams, which I haven't used in whatever. So, but I'm going to have it on my side anyhow. So, and for the radio, it doesn't matter anyhow because people won't be able to see it either. But I'll have it on my side and on my YouTube. So yeah, but it sounds the bits I read is very interesting. But there's also I found a dark sense of humor in it, and I think that the fact it's called the Jokester. Clearly, it's a given, I suppose. But having said that, I've read books with titles, and you expect something, and there's something completely different. Sometimes it's a good surprise. Sometimes it's not so good. So, but I prefer when I see a title that it actually reflects the book, and in your case, it definitely does that. So, what I've read so far of it. So, but but. Just going back for a minute to the first, I'm not sure if it's the first book, but the book you wrote about your time, in Iran, or rather the turbulent time around 1979 when the whole situation changed in Iran.
The world was turned upside down.
Yeah. So you literally escaped with your parents from Iran. So if you just give a quick one-liner about that's fine.
Sure. Well, as I said, I'm half Iranian. My father's family are actually Azeris, which are basically originate from Baku, Azerbaijan, which basically means they're Turks. And so. But then, so my father was attending university in the United States in late 60s. And so was my mother. And then they met. My mother was a local farm girl from the state of Missouri in America. And, she was Jewish, of course. And then my father was, of course, officially Muslim. But anyway, so they met, and they got married, and of course this is prior to the 79 situation. And then my father, after his graduation in 71, I was about 2 years old. I was born in 69. He took us to Iran for the first time. He graduated he started working for a company over there called Zobahan, which was built by the Soviets at that time, the Soviets, right after the Second World War. He started working as a chief engineer. And then, well, you know, one thing led to another. He was there for a few years, and then he was offered a position as a corporate executive with DuPont.
Oh, well known.
He was a corporate executive with them, but he's representing their interests in Iran. Well,
Okay.
what happened was we went to South Carolina, which was the HQ, the headquarters of DuPont at the time. I think now they've moved somewhere else. I don't know, but I think the DuPont plant is no longer operational in South Carolina. So we went there for about a year or two. He got his training, and then he was sent back to Iran representing DuPont's interests in Iran. And he was overseeing the building of the Esfahan branch of this company that DuPont built in Iran called Polyacryl. And basically the same thing, just under a different name.
Yeah.
And so then, so he oversaw the building of that, the work on that. And then, of course, 78 came along, and everybody was hoo-hawing, and everything went belly up, basically.
Literally, nearly.
Yeah. So, the whole world. Yeah. And so then, 79 came along, and I know my mother, and I mentioned this in my book as well. I don't know, did you get to that part where my mother was telling
Not yet, no. Because as I said, I'm reading both of your books simultaneously, so I don't want to confuse them. So,
right, yeah. So my mother, you know, God bless her, she used to tell my dad, "Come on, you know, better get the heck out of here. Things aren't good." And of course, my dad, you know, he had worked so hard to build you know, and everything. And
it's totally understandable.
Yeah, you know, and he couldn't believe that what he's known since childhood is about to go basically, you know. And so he refused, and until it was too late. We actually watched the hostage taking of the American personnel, you know, with the American embassy on television, and my mom just went ballistic. You know, she's like, "Look," and my dad at that point said, "Okay, let's go." But
there you go. And just as well, and it's not now you're here talking to us. So excellent. Right. Well, as I said, we just don't want to, because Iran. I told you before the interview, Iran is current again at the moment. But I was thinking Iran has been current since 1979. So people know enough about Iran so they can. But Escape from Iran is the name of the book. Again, I'll have that in my website, on my website as well. But just going back to the Jokester, and are there any plans for maybe a movie or TV show? Because to me, that looks. It's a typical book which we would really translate on a big screen, or even on the likes of Netflix or.
What? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's the idea. Like I mentioned, I'm in the process of trying to work some kind of a deal out for a film. So yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. I mean, and we try to promote your book anyhow. So it's currently on Amazon, is it?
You know what? It should be. Should be. What happened was there was some complication with my the site, because I'm self-published. You know, so it's they were having a little problem with my thing. So it usually has to be up about a week or two before it starts showing up on all the search engines and so on. So just as it was getting ready to come up, they took it off. Something happened, it came off, so I had to resubmit it. So another week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever, until it starts. But yes, it will.
But it will be there or something. I mean, I had the same issue when I published my book on Amazon as well. It's just, it was there and suddenly it was gone again, and it came back. So that's the woes of technology, I suppose. So, but yeah. Again, I wish you the best of success with this book. It's old-fashioned style of escapism, and that's
Right.
I think that's really needed nowadays, like with everything going around, going belly shape.
Yeah, I'm very
Belly,
slow when it comes to following the trends with the so-called modern, and I like things quiet and peaceful, and just, some things should be left. What's that old saying? If it's not Baroque, don't fix it.
That's it. And what they say is slow and steady wins the race. So I think that's
Yes.
the case here
Right.
as well. So yeah.
Right.
And there it was great. It was great talking to you, and I'm pretty
Likewise.
sure I'm going to talk to you again about some stage. Of course, when it's going to be a big movie, and of course I expect to be invited for the Oscars and stuff like that. So
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Be in the
so
family, absolutely.
yeah. No, I mean, I was joking aside. It's great talking to you, and as I said, I'm sure we will talk to you again. Yeah.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Just the name of the jokes. Is that the full title? Or
Well, it's the Jokester, and then underneath subtitle is Watcher the Witch.
yeah, that's
WYCH.
yeah, yeah. I think
The well.
is it well? Is it okay?
Well,
Because
yeah.
that's Welsh for okay. That's because I thought because it was just witch as in a witch, but yeah, that's interesting. So
Yes,
yeah,
which, yeah, if you
witch.
look it up, you'll see. Yeah, it says well,
That's a
there's different
well.
variations. Yeah, it's some. I think at some point it was referred to as a tree,
Oh,
but then
okay.
if you go back further, it's water stream, a well. Yeah, yeah. So it's sort of a
Liquid then, yeah.
yeah, liquid. Whatever's liquid.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Thanks. I was talking to Dar van Horn. The book is The Jokester-Watcher of the Witch.
Yes, yes.
And so it'll be on Amazon anytime. Have a look out for Amazon. Dar van Horn. Google him, type him in, and I'm sure it'll come up in the next. I think I've seen it actually, so it should be there already. So
Oh,
thanks.
okay. Well, that's great.